the 06010. Fantasy Focus.
Hello and welcome into Fantasy Focus. It is Friday, November 3rd. My name is Daniel Dopp, joined by Stephania Bell and Field Yates. Today's show is presented by Geico. Switch to Geico, see all the ways that you can save. We got a big show planned for you guys today. We got a Thursday Night Football recap. We got a bunch of previewing Week 9. Stephania, we're going to talk about some injuries. First and foremost, it's nice to have you here today, Stephania.
Thank you.
It's great
nice
to see you.
Here. Glad the 49ers aren't playing. They need a rest.
You know what? Your 49ers and my Lions both. We're just going to take a little bit of a break here, get a little bit healthier. How about you, Phil?
You guys are both going undefeated this weekend.
That's right, we are.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we're going to get back in the winning.
Yeah. Well, we haven't left the
Have you
winning
talked to
column.
Matthew about trading for Chase Young yet or no?
I'll bet he's real thrilled about that one.
No, I think he's got it in perspective of where they're going. We're only too happy to have him. It gets reunited, with his
It's
buddy,
about
Nick
time you
Bosa.
guys made an investment in a good defensive player.
I know. Well, apparently, we needed a little help getting the job done. So I love Chase Young.
Like when Pro Bowl voting comes around, do you think that we'll just put 49ers
Defensive line. Yeah, that's
defensive line? I know that they have not been good of late. I know that besides Nick Bosa, they've accounted for 1.5 sacks along the defensive line since week 1. Time to get things going. But on paper, this team is a tiger.
Yeah.
Not a lion. That's Daniel's
Well,
team.
I'm a fan of tigers.
Yeah,
right?
no big deal. Yeah, there you go.
So,
Cheetah.
Look at that.
yeah.
Oh,
So
you're
good.
paying
Right on
homage to
point.
Cheetah. Got it.
That's
okay.
what it was.
Let's talk
That's what it
injuries.
was. Let's dive into a bunch of things. Stephania, we're going to start with the quarterback position. In part
There are a
because-
lot of them.
Yes, there
that
are.
are banged up.
Yeah, we don't feel super great about a lot of the quarterbacks that are on the slate here in Week 9.
Rough week.
So let's talk about Deshaun Watson. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury. We haven't seen him the last couple weeks. There's just been uncertainty, waiting to figure out, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? What's the latest that you know on Deshaun Watson?
Here's how I would describe the situation.
Okay.
A mystery in a riddle wrapped in an enigma. Because every week it feels like we're not really sure.
Right.
And this week is not any different. Look, not questioning at all the fact that he has a rotator cuff strain. We've talked about it being the subscapularis muscle, one of the main muscles of the rotator cuff, which when injured makes it difficult to throw for volume, throw for distance, and ultimately throw for accuracy. And we've seen this play out originally since he left the game. He has not played. And this is really his call. He says now that he has to tell them when he's ready to go. And he talked about the timing, though, for the decision-making as deferring to their coach, Kevin Stefanski. In other words, if he wanted to say they would wait up until game time, the coach could make that decision, but that internally they needed to be on the same page of when he's ready. The way I interpret all of it at the end of the day is as long as we're seeing him limited, like he's been out there, he's been making some throws. But I think at this point with the stop-start, the fact that he tried to play and wasn't able to continue, and just the whole vagueness of the situation, they're going to want to see a little bit more consistency in practice and volume before they put him out in the playing field. That is what I anticipate. So I would expect that this week. More PJ Walker.
Yeah, PJ Walker has, for what it's worth, 5 interceptions and 1 touchdown over his last 3 games.
This seems awesome, Daniel, right? And so I think, by the way, we've moved on from the point of whether Deshaun Watson should be started or whether you should continue to hold on to Deshaun Watson as a maybe starter for you. Let's just say he does play. What gives you any confidence based off the fact that he's definitely not 100% and the fact that he played poorly, maybe because of the injury, prior to him sitting back out once again? This is about what it means for the players in this Browns offense that aren't at quarterback. And to your point, Daniel, we miss you, Deshaun Watson, for Amari Cooper specifically.
Exactly.
So we want him back ASAP because if he is back, it gives Amari Cooper the chance of being a lineup block.
Usable fantasy piece.
Until then, he is like the classic fantasy enigma. Good enough to be good on a given day, but given the quarterback play, he'd go for 3 catches and 25 yards on Sunday, and would not surprise me at all.
And this is one of those where I would not start him his first game back because I'm going to need to see that he can get through the game and play the way he did prior to being injured originally before I would commit to him in fantasy.
All right, what about Matthew Stafford dealing with a thumb injury? I think it's very similar, not similar to the injury to Justin Fields, but the idea of can he feel the ball? Can he hold on to the ball? How is that grip going to work for him? What do you know about Matthew Stafford?
We talked about this earlier in the week that he has an ulnar collateral sprain is how the team is describing it. And this is an injury that he had before when he was with the Lions.
Got some scar tissue there. Yep.
Well, and he had surgery to repair it, but he played for the Lions when it was torn for half a season. So this is not a quarterback who shies away from playing even a little bit compromised, but really what it comes down to is grip and stability and the ability to control the ball, not just for throwing, but just for ball protection. And you look at the fact that Rams have a bye coming in the following week, and even though he didn't structurally re-injure this repair, it might behoove them to encourage him to sit another week. I know Sean McVay said that they are going to give him up to the minute. I mean, if there's anyone they wait to the last minute for, it is Matthew Stafford. But I just have the sense that they might rest him this week. And even for fantasy purposes, I'd be a little nervous just if he does play, knowing that it's a short week after this injury and what if it gets aggravated during the game. Not really from a standpoint of concern about the injury overall, but just the concern about performance.
Yeah, so I don't really have him inside my top 15. I do not have him inside my top 10 for quarterbacks, not inside my top 12 for quarterbacks, maybe on the fringe of top 15. So to me, this is, again, more about Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. And if Matthew Stafford, regardless of who plays quarterback, you're starting these two Rams wide receivers, and even if something does happen to Matthew Stafford during the game, like, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Start your two Rams wide receivers. We hope that at maximum, if Matthew Stafford is out, this is a 1 week thing with them going into their bye next week.
Yep, exactly. I'm with you on that one. Stephania, let's talk Drake London here. He might have a new quarterback under center with Taylor Heineke potentially throwing the football, but is he going to be out there to get those passes?
He hasn't practiced yet. Now, interesting comments from Arthur Smith saying he wouldn't need to practice necessarily to be able to play on Sunday. Okay. It is a groin injury. You talk about soft tissue injury for a wide receiver, more of a concern. Drake London intimated that he was fine, and it sounds like he hopes to be out there. But I don't think Friday is kind of a big day. If he doesn't practice at all, I'd be awfully nervous about waiting until Sunday and then making a decision to utilize him if I hadn't seen him do any running or any movement like that.
Van Jefferson, long shot potential for Sunday morning fantasy football now.
Ooh, all right. We'll talk about that. Fantasy football now. By the way, ESPN News, 10 to 10:30, and then from 11:55 to 1 p.m. ESPN News. We got a little break in the middle of the show this week. Not something we normally have, but just making sure that people know.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about Aaron Jones. Stephania, dealing with a hamstring like every other running back, it feels like. What do we know about Aaron Jones, who has missed a bunch of time already this season?
He has, and he also had, similar to what we're talking about with Deshaun Watson, sort of a stop-start where he tried to come back and played limited number of snaps. You thought there would be a progression forward, had a re-injury in practice, then came back and missed additional time. But when he was coming back from that, had all kinds of confidence, said, I finally feel the best I have post-hamstring. And this is what it's like for a player who really hasn't experienced a hamstring injury like this, because you think you're better, and then you go out and you try and stress it, and you find you really just aren't at yourself. You're not at 100%. I mean, he's still splitting snaps with A.J. Dillon. Really, they're playing about 50% apiece. He's not at the volume he was before. He doesn't look like himself. And now he's wearing non-contact jerseys in practice, which, again, to me just means lighter workload in the practice week. But I think we're all very uncertain. Even everyone around the team is not really sure. Even if you get him back, are you getting him back to pre-injury level? That may still take time.
Yeah, they're taking on the Rams this week, something we will continue to monitor as we get closer to Sunday, because with the position of running back, I feel like we've been waiting to see Aaron Jones be the guy that we drafted him to be.
He was in week one.
Yeah,
I scored running back in week one, and then since then,
and he got hurt in week one.
Yeah,
so he really has not been himself since.
All right, well, another running back here, Dameon Pierce, with an ankle injury, sidelined for practice on Thursday. What can you tell us about this for him?
Well, it's not looking great. Okay. And if you go back to last year, Dameon Pierce's season ended when he was put on injury reserve with an ankle injury. And you wonder if some of that mentality is coming into play because he's not really been himself. So it could be Devin Singletary's stock goes up. Dameon Pierce hasn't been really the same in terms of volume and utilization even this year. And I think with the ankle injury, from a fantasy standpoint, I'd be concerned even if he did take the field.
For this backfield to matter in fantasy, One has to be out, one has to be in. If Devin Singletary is the only one playing, he'll crack my top 25 to 30 running back rankings for this week.
Yep.
Right around 25 is where I put him.
That's going to do it for Stephania this week. Stephania, though, we got to say something here real quickly. You've got a show called Answering the Bell coming out on the ESPN NFL page. Go check it out right now. I will. Yes, it is available right now. I'll pump it again towards the end of the show, but very cool talking about the Anthony Richardson injury. Yep. So that'll be very fun. Go check that out, ESPNNFL.com. All right, Field, we're going to pay some bills, but first.
Geico asks, or is there something before we pay the bills?
No, sorry, we're going to pay the bills.
We're going to pay the bills and then give a tip.
That's what it is.
And then we'll be back with the show. Geico asked, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance?
I would love that.
Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help, like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, at an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Level up your game day with Vivid Seats and get great tickets to the biggest games of the year. Plus, with Vivid Seats rewards, you can score free tickets, surprise seat upgrades, an annual birthday discount, and more. They're the only ticket company in the game that rewards fans for every purchase. As the official ticketing partner of ESPN, Vivid Seats is offering you $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase with code FFF. That's code FFF. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats. Experience it live. All right, back here on Fantasy Focus now with Field Yates, Mike Clay, and my name is Daniel Dopp. We are diving into a Thursday Night Football recap. We're going to be getting into a Week 9 preview in just a little bit.
Yeah.
But, guys, let's talk Titans and Steelers just for a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that.
Not very exciting.
Because, maybe not the most exciting, but, there are times in life, my friends, where sometimes you're sitting there and you're living your life, and something happens, and you remember that moment for the rest of your life.
For a long time.
Right? People, like our parents will tell us when the man landed on the moon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Matthew
used to tell us about that all the time too.
When the Eagles got to the Super Bowl, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl,
everyone remembers
when
those
the Eagles
three
stopped
things.
Emmitt Smith on the Star in Dallas. Most of them are Eagles related. People remember those moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And last night was one of them moments.
Yeah,
I'll always remember where I was and what I was doing.
Me too.
When Deontay Johnson finally scored a touchdown. It happened.
Okay,
We've been manifesting this for so long. Where were you? Where were you doing?
I'll tell you where I was. I was on my couch wondering.
Same.
And starting to draw up the Deontay Johnson back piece that Field Yates may have had to get because in case you didn't know, Field had said, I'm going to get a Deontay Johnson tattoo if he does not score a touchdown. Field, I was both simultaneously super happy and very disappointed that Deontay Johnson got in the end zone.
I was there. I was there sitting there watching this game, watched it happen. And then like everyone else, all the fans of the pod, we were all watching our X timelines waiting for the Field Yates tweet or post or whatever we call it.
Okay, so go ahead. So
where were you?
Do you want to dunk? Go ahead. Do you want to dunk?
No, go ahead. Where were you, man?
Right,
where were you when this legendary moment happened?
Here's
This
the deal,
historic
Mike.
event.
Here's the deal: is that there is only one thing thicker than fantasy football fortunes.
Yeah.
And that's blood.
Yeah.
And everybody who listens to the show probably knows I have 2 young daughters, one of which is still young enough in which she is still fed by her parents every single meal of the day.
Sure.
Milk. And so last night I decided that I was going to do a little dream feed. That's what I do at nighttime. I go feed the baby. And what that does is up until the dream feed, my mind tells me I can't fall asleep yet because I still have something left to do. Once the dream feed takes place, it is completely hit or miss whether I'm up for 5 more minutes or 5 more hours. So I went back down to my couch and I'm watching the game. And what happened to me? I mean, can you blame me? The game was so boring.
You
I
fall
fell asleep
asleep.
on the couch.
Stop, Field Yates! No!
So I woke up at 1:12 this morning.
That's amazing.
To a text from Mike Camberary, one of our great producers here at ESPN, now working over the ACC network. And he texted me something to the effect of like, it's nice when Deontay Johnson scores for you finally, except for when you're facing him in fantasy. So, Camby, I'm sorry. Everybody else, you're welcome. All right?
Finally unlocked it.
Because prove that this would not have happened if I had not mentioned it yesterday.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't even get my
or the
tweet
week
off.
before, or the week before that.
Or
midway through last season.
Okay, but did I mention it yesterday? It could have happened. Did I say I smelled it in the air?
Look, you were right.
No. Yesterday, yes, I know. Blind squirrels find nuts eventually. But yesterday I had a feeling, and we mentioned it in the podcast, so you're all welcome.
I think we should get a different tattoo now. I still think he actually didn't see the touchdown, so I don't think
Does
it counts.
It even count?
I don't think it
exactly.
counts.
I went back, and because of the condensed version of NFL games now you can watch on the NFL Plus app, I watched like the 8-minute version of the fourth quarter. The touchdown was awesome, and for the first time, I actually told my wife about the bet that I made. And she was not pleased about that.
It's not going to happen now.
She was like,
"Excuse." Although again, I still
you
think
would
it
really
stands.
do that.
I think it still stands.
He scored.
You didn't see it.
So you're trying to tell me this is Mike. This is what Mike is doing. He's drawing the football equivalent of if a tree falls in the woods
exactly what I was
and
thinking.
no one hears. Does it make sounds?
Yeah. Also, I have him on a lot of teams, so I need more touchdowns. So I need you to keep manifesting
you're
more
welcome.
and more
well,
and more.
you know what? He is the highest scoring wide receiver in fantasy so far this week, Mike.
go.
So
He
you
is.
are welcome.
Yeah,
we have a few
so,
minutes. So should we just knock out this game then?
Yeah, anyway.
You
Yeah,
done
let's,
dunking on me or no?
That's all we need to really talk about, but we can
Gotcha.
talk about some other implications
I'll tell
here.
you what.
Because good for Deontay Johnson has not meant good things for George Pickens.
George Pickens. All right, so let's stick with the Steelers here really quickly. George Pickens only 2 catches for -1 yard. 1.9 fantasy points.
You
Not
had one catch
fantastic,
last week,
unfortunately.
Yeah, one catch last week. Yeah, it was a touchdown.
3
but
catches for 21 yards and a touchdown over the past 2 games.
And last week Deontay Johnson also had like 14 targets last week.
He did, yeah.
He sure
got
did, yeah,
23
14.
over in his 2 healthy games, fully healthy games this season. That's a crazy number, by the way.
Yeah.
I would say, though, that it might be, so it's definitely in part because of Deontay Johnson, in part because of the fact, and now that Mike dunked on me, I'm going to have to fight back a little bit here. Kenny Pickett is so inconsistent.
He really
my
is.
gosh.
He is, gosh, like there are some throws he made last night where they were absolute strikes and you are super impressed. And then you're just like, good Lord, Kenny, like, can you hit a guy who's wide open, like maybe in the chest? So that's part of it as well. But this passing offense, I do not think is going to be every single week capable of supporting 2 pass catchers.
Yeah, I got you. I think Pickens has fallen to 49er category.
There we go.
You think
He's
so?
a 49er.
He's like a flex, and he's going to be boom bust. He's going to hit for some touchdowns. He's super athletic. He's going to make some plays. But Deontay Johnson is maybe the #1 receiver in the NFL in terms of ability to get open. So he's going to keep soaking up targets. He's back. He's a full go now. This won't change. Kenny Pickett's going to throw to him a lot because he's always open. So
You know, something else that's not going to change is this backfield. We are just in full-on committee territory. It is going to be Jalen Warren and
paid
Najee
off
Harris.
last night. Yeah. I mean, it was great to see last night. Najee Harris, of course, found the end zone and only outscored Jalen Warren by 1.3 fantasy points. Yeah. Najee looked more efficient early in the game as a runner. That was good to see. It's clear, though, that one of the two is the better big play threat. And that remains Jalen Warren, who had 88 rushing yards yesterday.
yeah, this is very much kind of like Dallas deployment last year. Najee is Zeke Elliott. He's going to keep getting. They love him. He's the high pedigree. They're going to keep giving it to him. He led in snaps again, but 2 games with 15-plus fantasy points in his last 3 games. So he's starting to trend up. Still not much in the passing game, though, that's going to continue to limit him. And by the way, Jalen Warren, don't get too carried away here. A career high in 113 yards, 14 touches. He was averaging 10.1 per game to start the season with only 1 touchdown. So I think it's same old for him. You know, he's going to be a guy that you can take a shot on in your flex, but it's not going to be consistent upside, and certainly not a lot of upside.
My worst team in all fantasy this year is a non-PPR league where I have Deontay Johnson and Najee Harris, and I was facing off against George Pickens last night.
Oh,
the person that I was playing is projected to beat me. No longer, baby. Maybe that team will dig itself out of the crap hole it's been for much of this season. On the Titans side, extremely briefly, Derrick Henry went crazy. DeAndre Hopkins had double-digit fantasy points. 11 targets. That's the number that you care about a lot in that game from DeAndre last night. And then Will Levis, some bright moments last night.
He looked like a second-round rookie.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
He has an interesting way he throws the football. But
he does.
I think he's going to be fun to watch.
He is very much fearless, but there's going to be some moments like when he was getting sacked last night and threw the ball about 7 yards backwards out of bounds.
Yeah.
That one was
we need him
not
to
great.
run more, though. Give us more carries.
All right, back here on Fantasy Focus, Daniel Dopp, Mike Clay, Field Yates, diving into our Week 9 preview part 2. In case you want to check out the first part of our preview, Field Yates and I yesterday did it on Thursday. Just go ahead and fast forward through the Thursday night football preview that we had. A lot of good nuggets in that show. So go check that out if you need to. We also are going to dive in here. Let's talk some running backs. If you're looking at these Cleveland Browns, guys, we've had 2 running backs that we've been talking about. Jerome Ford, we spent a ton of fab on. And then Kareem Hunt decided he was going to be a part of this backfield again. Here in Week 9, Field Yates. They're both looking like they're going to be out there. Which one do you have ahead of the other heading into this matchup?
Yeah, I've got Jerome Ford ahead of Kareem Hunt. And the gap is 5 spots for me. It's a little bit more disparate for the two of you. And I think that's reflective of the fact that I sort of feel like it's like 55-45, right? It's like that might be the exact snap percentage of these two players on Sunday in their game against the Cardinals. And that's kind of about how my confidence index reads for Jerome Ford this week. Remember last week, he, of course, comes back kind of out of nowhere and plays on that bum ankle. And he was the guy in the fourth quarter for Cleveland. He played 83% of their snaps in the fourth quarter. So down the stretch, I really do believe that in a perfect world, I think the staff would prefer for Jerome Ford to be the guy. But Kareem Hunt's going to have some opportunities in the passing game. He's gotten some goal line work recently. This one is one where the gap has dramatically narrowed compared to where I thought it was following the Nick Chubb injury originally.
Yeah, you mentioned goal line work. How about all of the goal line work? The last 3
Kareem
games,
Hunt,
he has 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games. He has all 4 of the Browns carries inside the 5-yard line. So he is stealing that from Ford. That's not great. But
Jerome Ford hasn't had a goal line carry since week 3.
Yeah, right. Wow. And that's Hunt is definitely taking that work, and that may not change. Now, last week they did use 3 running backs. Pierre Strong played 24 snaps. That was actually 1 more than Jerome Ford played. He was involved. I think he'll kind of be phased out now as Ford gets healthy, but I feel kind of good about the fact that, to your point, Ford still was very much involved despite the fact that he wasn't fully healthy and missed a lot of practice. And also he played a lot in the fourth quarter. So I remember the prior 2 games when he was healthy, he had 90+ yards in both of those games. I still think he is the primary lead back. He's 22nd in points per game this season. I'm with you. My gap's a little bit wider just because Hunt's been so touchdown dependent. You can't always count on that for a committee back. I would give the edge here to Ford. But honestly, in this matchup, both could be started. The Cardinals have allowed the 3rd most fantasy points to running backs. Last week, they faced Gus Edwards. He had a huge game last week. Yep. So it is a good matchup for Ford and Hunt.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, we've talked too much about the Gus Edwards back-to-back weeks of being
snake bitten
career days, unfortunately. All right, let's move ahead and talk about the Bears running backs. This one's an interesting one to shake out too because Deontay Foreman. How do you know when it's going to be Deontay Foreman week, right? You got 2 guys here, in Rashawn Johnson and Deontay Foreman, that feels like it's going to be the backfield here. Which one, Mike, would you rather roll with in week 9?
Yeah, Rashawn Johnson. Again, same kind of thing. The fact that he missed so much time with that concussion. Deontay Foreman was coming off a huge game and still
a major dud.
Yeah, Johnson barely played in the first quarter. He still led them in snaps. He still had the backfield in snaps last week. Wow. So that tells me that they feel he is their best running back. And that was kind of tipped off by earlier this season when Foreman for a month was a healthy scratch and Johnson was the main guy. He's also, I think, their most talented back. I was a big fan of him coming into the league. Didn't get a lot of volume last week, but I think it'll be an uptick, especially if he starts in this one. He's running it well. His rushing efficiency's been good. 17 targets. He's caught 14 of them, so he's been effective in the passing game. I think there's a lot to like here. This is a tough matchup.
Yeah, it is
good against the run. Although they have allowed 3 running back touchdowns in the last 2 games, so maybe there's something there. I would say Johnson's the one I want from this group, but with the matchup, with the committee, remember Darrington Evans played a ton last week as well. I think Johnson is more of a flex than he is a solid RB2.
Okay, so you mentioned that they have allowed 3 running back touchdowns in the past 2 games. That was when they got ETN'd.
Yeah.
Because consider how good they've been. You mentioned 4th fewest fantasy points per game allowed to opposing running backs. They've allowed 1 running back this season to reach 15 fantasy points in a game. That, of course, was Travis Etienne on Thursday Night Football a couple of weeks back. Yep. And only 1 running back to reach 70 rushing yards this season. That was Jonathan Taylor last week. So they've just been so stout against the run that my answer is, if I had to choose between a Bears running back, my preference would be to play somebody else from a different team.
Yeah, but Roshan might end up being a really good player, so maybe we'll be saying they got Johnson.
Wow.
They might be saying
that. Like your
Roshan?
Roshan? Was that
probably
your...
Roshan is better
maybe
than Johnson. Yeah, maybe we'll go with that one.
I feel like Roshan works better. Was that your dad joke for the week or no?
Nope, it wasn't.
You're saving that for Sunday.
It's a different one.
No, that's not a joke at all. I just mean Roshan's going to be a good player.
He is a good player. No, I like him a lot. I've got him as RB28, though, this week, the highest amongst my Bears running backs.
I'm at 25, so we
not to play.
Yeah, we can't board bet that one.
Does Roshan, did he make it into your playbook? I love your playbook every single week. One of the things that I love, I always say this, like, reading is where the smart comes. And one of the things about your playbook, Mike, is it's so full of information, but there's so many words in it. Sometimes if you could just put like some pictures or like a blank page in there just for me to get my head above water for a little bit.
I know what you're doing.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Somebody watched SNL this past
Someone
week.
did watch a little.
Yeah. Some of us, when there's something important on television at late night, we can actually stay up and remember that moment. We're there for that moment.
That's what it is.
Unlike field watching Deontay Johnson. But anyway, I stayed up for the monologue. Love Nate Bargatze. It's going to be a College Game Day this weekend. He's our celebrity picker.
Is he really?
College Game Day Saturday.
That's amazing.
Love Nate.
How'd you find that out, Mike?
I probably sources on the X that I follow, not accounts that I blocked.
The dagger is coming from Fields' vision into Mike Clay's eyes right now. How'd you find that one out, Mike?
Yeah, this is why the internet doesn't like you, Mike. They think that you're mean to us.
Why have you blocked? So how am I supposed to? Did you post it? I didn't see it.
No, I sent it to you though over text. No, you ignored my text.
Oh, I have those muted as well. I don't see those.
Yeah. Well, the
Turn off notifications.
read receipts are on, but
No, you're right. You
notifications are off.
did. You were the one that told me that. That's right. That's right.
Within this
Anyway,
offense,
love Nate.
real quickly, within this offense, not just the running backs, if we have Tyson Bagent under center one more time, are you guys looking at DJ Moore as a lock-it-in player, or is he more of a flex play, or is he outside your starting consideration this week?
Yeah, he's in there for me. I still feel pretty good about him. I know he's been down the past few weeks, but the targets are
a little bit outside my top 20 this week. I was thinking about this. I once texted Mike around 5:45. He didn't respond for 2.5 hours.
What a jerk.
So I'm just realizing this now. Like Mike brags about the fact that he can stay up until 11:15 p.m.
Sure.
Ooh, wow, fancy Mike. Meanwhile, I'm up with the birds in the morning. My coffee is roasting. I'm on to lunch by the time you wake up.
Like, first of all, Daniel sleeps like 10. So, like,
But Daniel
I
doesn't
answer
have
you.
young kids. His kid's 19.
I see your text
accurate.
when there's still a 7 in the number, okay? I answer you. We're like the only 2 awake, I think, at that point.
Probably true.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
That's accurate. I didn't know that you could set alarms that have a 7 at the front of them, if I'm honest with you
I'm
guys.
surprised you made it through Sunday. When did you fall asleep Sunday after doing
After doing Daily Wager. So
that was a tough day for you.
I got up at 5:45 a.m. in order to do Daily Wager. It was the first time that I got up with a 5 on the clock this year.
That's
and Field,
unreal.
I feel like that's your every day this year. Like you're up before 6 a.m. It seems like every single day.
I am so concerned about Sunday morning. I can't tell you guys this because the only thing, first of all, daylight savings coming to an end just sucks. Like the dumbest idea in America. I hate it. There's nothing good about the fact that the clocks tick back and the next thing you know, it's 12:15. It's dark here in Connecticut. It sucks. However, if you're a farmer and you like to get up early with your crops, that apparently is the reason why we move the clocks backwards. When you have kids who react to light sensitivity in the morning,
oh boy,
and all of a sudden the alarm is not the natural, it's not the phone alarm, it's the natural alarm.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to Sunday morning. When my daughter's like, hey, it's 5:15, Dad, you ready to wake up? No, I'm not. I'm not at all.
Wait,
not ready.
Oh yeah, because you get an extra sleep, extra.
you
hour,
don't
right?
mean for one night you do.
Yeah.
But
All
on
right,
Monday morning, when she's still not used to waking up,
That's it.
when she did prior to this daylight savings crap.
All right. Well, Field's gonna have a nap.
Mike, it's your fault. I'm in a sour mood today because
he's-
you had to dunk on me to
He's
begin the
already
show.
pre-mad. Yeah, look, man, you should have set an alarm for Deontay Johnson touchdown.
I was just gonna say you should have set an alarm at some point last night. I don't know how you do that.
I deserve
but
all
thank
this.
you.
Should we talk about Alexander Mattison? or
yeah,
no?
we should.
We can. I want to say this. I don't really want to though. I don't love this situation, right? I was all in on Alexander Mattison earlier this year, and now we're in a spot. We're gonna have a backup quarterback under center, Jaron Hall, right? First start.
Are you a Vikings fan now?
I am not a Vikings fan.
Okay.
This is what we're dealing with as a fantasy community.
got it.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
community, yes.
we as in an Alexander Madison manager.
Got it,
We
okay.
are going to be starting Jaron Hall. Unfortunately,
I didn't know if I had to break some news to our Michigan men hate thread right now.
No. Trust me, they know. They remember
Benedict
everybody
Arnold
that took
Dopp
the
over there.
Minnesota Vikings to win the division this year. So listen,
Wow.
if you take Alexander Mattison and Cam Akers, understanding Cam Akers, the only running back in this backfield that has gotten in the end zone through the ground this year, it feels like we're in a full-on committee. And between that committee and the fact that we're starting a rookie quarterback, it just lowers my expectations for Alexander Madison's field, even though fewer running backs than ever that I want to start this week. I still have them just outside my top 20.
So after removing the 3 players from last night, Madison is RB 24 for me. A couple of negative indicators that play the Falcons, who have been outstanding against
Really
the opposing running backs this season. Second fewest fantasy points per game
None
allowed.
have reached 17.
And they have not allowed a rushing touchdown this season.
Yeah.
Not one rushing touchdown allowed.
once, not
Moreover, Alexander Mattison over the past 4 weeks has 1 goal-to-go rushing attempt. If you're looking for the positive indicators and why I still have him ranked ahead of your boy, Cam Akers, is last week he played 62% of the snaps to Cam Akers 28%. Mike, anything to add?
Nope, 43 to 15 snap edge. That's wide. 2 weeks ago, I was more concerned because remember we talked about it.
55 to 38 in week 7.
Yeah,
Now 62 to 28%.
And Madison had played a lot early, and he took that hard hit and then barely played the rest of the game. Maybe that was the explanation because he took back control in this one. But to your point, really tough matchup. Akers is going to completely go away. They're probably not going to score much. There's a lot of reasons for concern. So I'm with you. He's a flex option.
Low-end flex. Is there anybody else from this offense that you really like this week? Understanding, again, Jaron Hall under center, so we're looking at TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson's got to still be a lineup block with how bad tight end is, right?
He is, yeah.
What about
I am
Jordan
not
Addison?
getting rid of Jordan Addison from
Me
my
too.
starting lineup. He's just too good. I'll borrow a Daniel Dopp stat here for a second. Over the past 2 weeks, he's wide receiver 2. So I know that the quarterback question mark is legitimate. I don't have a great feel for Jaron Hall. I've watched him in a teeny sample size last week. I watched him for a week down at the Senior Bowl this past year. I think there was a reason why he went in the 5th round. That being said, I think there was a reason why Jordan Addison went in the first round as well and why he's been so good recently. So I still have him as a startable wide receiver this week. Yeah, not giving up the hope.
We just have to make sure Hall targets him. He did not do that last week. I believe it was 4 pass attempts, 2 to Hawkinson, 2 to Osborne. So let's hope he gets him the ball.
Yeah, I would love to be able to see that. This is one of those things that always makes me nervous. And I just wonder if other fantasy managers think about this, where it's like, I've got to start a running back or other players from a team where I have a huge question mark at the quarterback position, playing a defense that I don't love. Yeah. A lot of times it's just, you get that back and forth, this emotional hedge. I think that's where tinkering comes into play on Sunday morning, because you just keep going back and forth and back and forth.
Same game. Falcons, obviously starting Taylor Heineke. If you're a Falcons fan, when Kyle Pitts has either 3 or 4 receiving touchdowns on Sunday,
stop it.
Are you
Stop
more
it.
excited about the fact that Pitts broke out, or the fact that you waited this long to play the quarterback who should have been playing from the jump?
Yeah, it's going to be frustrating. The question is, do we start Kyle Pitts, though? Do we take that chance? It's going to happen.
Yeah. I like 3 touchdown games, don't you?
All right.
Stop it.
All right.
I've got him like just on the periphery of my top 10 tight ends.
Plug him in there.
Yeah.
I say Kyle Pitts has less than 3 touchdowns on Sunday.
We got to take a break. Interesting stuff. Yeah.
All right, back here on Fantasy Focus, making our way through the Week 9 preview. Field Yates, Mike Clay. My name is Daniel Dopp. Let's talk about the game of the week in America. Can I state it that way?
Well,
We got
that's
some big ones.
interesting.
Cowboys,
Northwestern,
Eagles, is that where we're
Iowa
at?
tomorrow. Nope.
Stop it.
Okay.
Stop it.
Sorry. The lowest over under in 30 years in
It's
college
championship weekend in NASCAR.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's a lot of big games this
Okay,
weekend.
Mike Clay.
football. Isn't NASCAR like 3 months? Isn't the season 3 months over by now?
No, this is championship
It still
week.
goes.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
it.
it's
This
still
is
going.
it. This is the last week.
Yeah.
Big
You
one.
watch a lot of car racing.
Absolutely, I do. And truck racing. Tonight's a truck championship.
Oh, my
This is
gosh.
probably a good time. Shout out to my buddy. I have a lot of friends in NASCAR competing for championships, so rooting for them all. But one of my really good friends, Ryan Patton, is the tire carrier for William Byron, who's competing in the Final Four for the NASCAR championship. He's won some titles with Jimmy Johnson in the past, but has a shot to get another one.
Shut
So
up.
shout out, Ryan, big fantasy player.
He played for the Cowboys back in the day. He said he won some titles with Jimmy Johnson. Is that
No, not that Jimmy Johnson.
not a NASCAR
The
guy?
more well-known Jimmy Johnson. NASCAR Jimmy Johnson.
Okay,
7
gotcha.
time
The
Jimmy.
more well-known Jimmy Johnson.
Absolutely.
Shots from Mike Clay
I
here.
think it's safe to say Jimmy Johnson, the NASCAR drivers, won more championships than Dallas Cowboys Jimmy Johnson.
Wow.
So I'm
What's
just
it take to be a tire carrier for something like that?
super athletic. He was he's
I can only imagine. And
there are a
you're
lot of
gonna
former well, he's the carrier. So those things are
he doesn't
heavy.
have to even do the other thing. He's just
No, he
got
doesn't.
one job.
Nope, and now they only have one now. One nut in the middle.
It's just one big and
Yeah. But it's a lot of former NFL players are crew guys down there.
All right.
Yeah.
Really?
But yeah. That's where they recruit them from, and they college football players, some guys that play in the NFL. Yeah. It's a real
So NASCAR's like WWE. These guys retired.
that
It's
way,
like, come join our little family
so
here.
funny.
in that way, yes.
Yeah.
That's about
Okay.
all.
Bring everyone in the Joe
I don't know
Gibbs
if there's
family.
other comparisons, but yeah.
I can think of a couple. When they fight in NASCAR, it's always like
The fights are awful. The fights are better in
They're not
WWE.
good.
scripted entertainment is what we call it in wrestling, by the way.
Anyway.
Shout out to WWE.
Go Willie Byron, go Ryan Patton. Let's go.
Going Ryan
Get it.
Patton.
Let's get
All
that
right.
title.
All in on that. Ryan Patton, the official tire carrier of the 06-0 for what
That's
it's
right.
worth.
That's right. He'll be
Congratulations to
watching.
him.
So
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the Buffalo Bills taking on the Joe Burrow Cincinnati Bengals,
Yeah.
team that is reported on by Ben Baby.
Yeah.
I was trying to get more B's in there. I can't get
Yeah.
any more B's, guys. I was going for it.
Busy day for you.
It's a
Bengals.
very
Bills,
busy
baby.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
You thinking about starting in this game, Bills and Bengals? You think about starting Gabe Davis here, guys? Because Gabe Davis is the guy that I'm always in on. You're the ones that have to talk me out of Gabe Davis. I'm trying to talk you guys into Gabe Davis often.
Well, what's funny is that last week you were already talked out of Gabe Davis.
I know,
and then
and
he went off.
went off. And
well, 2 terrible games in a row. Yeah.
how
Right.
much of that, real talk, we'll talk actual football now. How much of that do you think is because of the fact that with Dawson Knox being out, they're running more 11 personnel, they're having to find wide receivers more often than having a 2 tight end set?
I think that was Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
More
was
than
the
it was
product
Gabe
there.
Davis?
Yeah. Another long shot candidate for Sunday.
Yeah, I think Davis was more of just a game plan.
Yep.
It was very evident that the Bills went into that game and thought, just throw it immediately, snap the ball and throw it. Like they went to Shakir a lot. Davis soaked up a ton of targets. They got it to Diggs a ton. Kincaid. They all had good games. They got it to everybody.
Was
Spread
that
it
the game
around.
where they were talking about Allen's
Next gen stats.
yeah,
the
time to get out of the
fastest
pocket.
time to
Yeah.
release in his career.
So I think it was a part of that. That makes me a little nervous though about Gabe Davis because I think he's just going to be that Mike Williams type, that boom bust. You can start him
He's
if you
a
want
Niner.
as a
Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. He's in that conversation now. So I'm at 26. So and then, again, that's with 4 teams on a bye, 2 teams pulled out of there already. I think he's startable for
I got him
sure,
as
especially
wide
after
receiver
last
30.
week.
Yeah, wide receiver 30. Mike is correct that I felt like Josh Allen was throwing the football as fast as the guys changed tires in a NASCAR race. But more seriously here, Gabe Davis, yes, that was good last week, maybe as a sign of things to come.
Hopefully.
We also know that in the 2 games prior to that, he was held under 4 fantasy points in each of those games. And the past 2 full games that Cincinnati and Buffalo have played against each other. Obviously, we had the game last year on Monday Night Football in which Damar Hamlin went down, and thankfully he's back and playing football and healthy, and maybe even will play on Sunday night. But in those 2 games prior to that, I guess one in the playoffs as well, Josh Allen's kind of been shut down by the Bengals defense. They've had his number over the past couple of games. So I have a little bit more caution on Gabe Davis than the 2 of you do, but we're only talking about 4 spots apart.
Well, we know
Receiver
we're either going to be. We're actually, our ranking will not be correct. Like, he will not finish in the 25 to 30 range because he's had 21 plus 3 times. He's been under 6 3 times. He's going to be on one.
It's one or
so
the other.
we kind of met in the middle and said, here you go. It's a lottery ticket flex. Take your shot if you want.
That's really what it is. We were talking
Is he
about
Khalil Shakir with, I'm sorry, is he Rashid Shaheed with better volume?
I guess so. Sure. Why
Rashid
not?
Shaheed has 3 top 12s this week, this season, and 5 out of the top 50.
And one of them was with 3 targets last week. Yeah.
Ridiculous. Not good enough to win the
He's
long
a
shot,
Rashid
but still.
Shaheed we're trusting.
Yeah.
A little more.
A little more. We're trusting Dalton Kincaid in this matchup, too, with
Yeah, we
everything
are.
that we saw. He looked fantastic again. With no Dawson Knox, he should be a lock it in, set it and forget it tight end.
I'll talk about him a little later. So
Okay.
I'll
So
hold
we'll
my
save the good
piece.
stuff for later, is what you're saying? All
Save
right.
that.
Yeah.
All right, quickly.
There's a reason for that.
On these running backs, I just want to mention this. Latavius Murray added to this backfield.
Yeah.
You still have, sorry, not Latavius Murray. Leonard Fournette added to this
practice
backfield.
squad for now.
Still have Latavius Murray and James Cook. How are you looking at these Buffalo Bills running backs?
Cook's good.
Yeah, Cook is good.
Let him cook.
Most efficient running back. I've got him inside my top 20 for this week. Did you guys happen to see Lombardi Lenny's tweet about the weather in Buffalo?
Oh yeah, it's
So
cold.
Is
To
that what he said?
paraphrase.
It's colder than a penguin's butt. And you can change the word butt for something else. But
Okay.
great description there. I don't know. I'd never heard that before.
I would
Me
assume,
neither, but sure.
I would assume they're very cold because they don't they touch the ice when they're like waddle around
good
everywhere?
call.
He did play in Tampa Bay and Jacksonville. Where did he go to college?
LSU.
LSU. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
from
yeah,
Louisiana
just
as
different
well.
For him.
Yeah, a little bit different. And it was funny how basically every Bills fan plus the Bills team account were like, it's November.
Yeah.
It's
Check
no
back in
idea.
January.
Yeah.
It's like actually about this contract.
Yeah. They showed a before and after, like a 3 hours apart photo of him yesterday, and it was like him showing up to practice in like cut off football pants and and sleeveless tee, and then by the end of practice he was wearing like sweatpants with a sweatshirt, like had a hat over his helmet.
That's
They
funny.
used the SpongeBob 3 hours later meme. It was great.
I can't wait
Yeah.
to see him in like a snow game or something. He's gonna be the guy with all the layers.
Who was the
Oh, my
wide
gosh.
Who was the wide receiver who used to? Keenan Allen did this for a little while as well, but I feel like there was a wide receiver that wore a hoodie for a while.
Oh yeah,
Was it Keenan Allen?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember who it was, but I know
Also,
what you're
gotta be-
talking
There
about.
was somebody that was
Kevin
wearing
Pulsford's
You know,
Yeah,
like
he's
Marvin
on it.
Jones or something. Like I can't remember. Who.
James Jones.
Jones.
There it
That's it.
was.
There it was.
Hoodie James Jones. And you were just like, wait, what? I mean, he played in Green Bay, so that was part of it too.
Yeah.
But I feel like that carried over to his Raiders days as well.
That's funny. Yeah.
kind of a
get
look.
used to it.
Yeah,
I-
he's the
dude,
Andrew Whitworth of wide receivers.
Hey, whatever it takes to catch the
Big
football.
Whit rocks that hoodie under the sport coat.
Oh, yeah,
Very
he
sharp.
does.
I think
He's the
that'd be
man.
really tough, wouldn't you? It'd be hard because I feel like that would just be like hair that would get pulled when you get tackled by somebody. I don't think I'd want a hoodie,
tackled by the hoodie.
out of the back of my jersey
hurt,
like
yeah.
that. Let's talk quickly about these Bengals.
Yeah.
Would you be starting Mike Clay? Would you be starting Gabe Davis?
I would start
or
Mike Clay
T-
all the time, yeah.
No,
Hoodies have been
not
outlawed,
Matt
by the way,
Clay,
by the NFL.
Mike
I've
Clay.
confirmed. But Pulse has confirmed. They've been outlawed.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What's that?
Hoodies
Hoodies
have
have
been
been
outlawed.
outlawed.
Oh,
Yeah, since
okay.
2016.
That's funny.
Crazy.
Fair enough.
Would you start T. Higgins or Gabe Davis this week?
I have Davis one spot ahead, but I actually mentioned the playbook. I wrote them together this week because they're in the same game and they're in a very similar situation for different reasons.
How far T. Higgins has fallen to be in
He's
the
fallen
Gabe
down.
Davis conversation?
That it is what it is. Higgins has been struggling. 11.9 fantasy points last week. His second highest total of the season.
Yeah.
He only ran 69% of the routes. That's
Nice.
down. That's up from recent weeks, but not where he's normally been when fully healthy. So if he is a week later, he's healthier. He's going to be on the field for 90+% of the snaps. Will feel a little bit better. Still at 69 yards on 5 catches last week. So that was solid, and that's enough for me to at least plug him into my lineup. The Bills, by the way, still trying to figure out their defense right now.
Yep.
They're trending the wrong way now. They had some big injuries, obviously. Sure. Milano, Tre'Davious White. So we'll see if they can figure that out. But this could I would not be surprised if Cincinnati is a big offensive game because the Bills quietly, just struggling on that side of the ball.
Bills
a little
grabbed
bit.
Rashee Douglas at the trade deadline,
They
right?
did, yeah, they did.
Yeah, I don't know how much he'll play this week, but I'm sure some sort of.
Did you see their Wednesday injury report for Rashee Douglas?
No.
You know,
Yeah, I
team
did say
has
that
to
was awesome.
issue an injury report and describe why a player either practicing or not practicing. And Rashee Douglas is a DNP, and the reason was not here yet.
or just got here.
Oh, just got here. Yeah. Just got here. Yeah.
Like the official injury report said
You know,
that.
I was thinking about this, and then Pulse just texted me, and I think I am ready to do the same thing that he was ready to do, which is a board bet because I have T. Higgins ahead of Gabe Davis. So why not get weird?
Whoa.
And board bet T. Higgins versus Gabe Davis. Anybody else interested in this one or no?
Yeah, I'll do it. I have Davis one spot ahead. I mean, I think it's a toss-up, but board bets are fun, and I'm into it.
Did you guys see that hedge right there? From
I
Mike?
did.
You know,
I did.
know board bets are fun, and it's kind of a toss-up.
Are you
But-
serious? You're the guy all off season. It's like, oh, well, I only have them like 8 spots apart, so we don't really have to talk about this. It's like they're in the same tier. You do that every episode of the show.
Episode.
Wait, do I really?
Yeah. Oh no, that's, I'm
Right?
all in. I will say we get a little hedging there. I'm in. I'm the
You're
Gabe
right,
Davis
though. I mean,
truther
you're
on
right.
this show. I will absolutely take this board bet.
Thank
with
you. That's what I was looking for. A
Yates.
little more conviction right
That's
there.
right.
Mike just
I
made me
say-
feel very insecure, by the way.
Are we just splitting it? Or are we saying which one is higher than the other one? this
Yeah,
week?
it's Gabe. So I'm on the T. Higgins side with help with Pulse.
All right. So
All
then
right.
you want to start this? Ready? You and I?
Yeah, all right, right.
All right. Look into my eyes deeply. I say Gabe Davis will outscore T. Higgins in Week 9.
And I say T. Higgins will outscore Gabe Davis in Week 9.
That was way better.
Put it on the board.
Oh my goodness, that was awful TV right there.
I mean, truthfully, they are like really close to my rankings. So like, you know, I can
Shut
totally
up.
see.
No one cares, Field. No, you can't do that now.
You
I
save
could
that
see
for
Gabe-
next week. If you're wrong, that's when you pull that out. We'll roll the tape on me hedging if
That's
we're wrong.
right. That's right.
how
We'll
it
have to
works.
run the tape back in
Yep.
order for that.
Not
And
8 spots spot. Like when they're 3 spots apart, I will definitely do that.
Then it's
You
one of
know.
those
All right,
things.
touche.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
definitely, yeah.
Is there anybody else? Obviously, we're starting Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase within this matchup. Joe Mixon also a lineup lock.
Trending up. Yeah.
So-
Mixon looked the best he's looked all season last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really good. It was a tough matchup. I actually liked the under on his scrimmage yards last week, and the number kept going up, and I'm like, what am I missing here? And I was missing something because he got a ton of volume in that game. The Bengals obviously were way better offensively than we thought in San Francisco. But yeah, he looks good. He looks fresh, and he's crushing. He's playing most of the snaps.
Excited. That'll be one of the games I'm very excited to be able to watch this week. Bills, Bengals, really great AFC
we have
matchup.
we have a couple really great games, and then a lot of not great games.
Yes.
Have you
on
seen the 1
schedule
p.m.
this week.
slate?
Yeah, it's not great.
Okay.
All the good ones are in prime time.
yes.
or
Correct. Yes.
8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday.
9:30, but close.
Or yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. No big deal.
That's
It's
why
only like an hour and a half apart.
that's why we have a
thing.
little hiatus during FF now, so we can watch one of the good games of the week. That's
not
why,
a bad
yeah.
call.
Is that why
right
they
there.
did that? They did that just for us to be able
Yeah.
to
So
watch it on Sunday
accommodating.
morning?
Yeah.
That's
That's right,
really
yeah.
cool. That's amazing. Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Again, check out FF Now on Sunday morning. A little bit of a different schedule, but I promise we're going to be there. ESPN News this week, not ESPN2. Make sure you got news pulled up. All right, diving in a little farther to this Week 9 preview. Let's talk about the actual game of the week. This might be the game of the year until we get
The
to
Lions
the
are
Super
off
Bowl.
this is fun.
Oh, Field, I appreciate you. You've been so accommodating with the Detroit Lions. How about this? Going on Tim Twentyman's podcast, by the way. Shout out to you doing a little bit of One Pride Lions love there.
Well, he texted both Mike and I, but it was very early in the morning on Tuesday. And
So
so I was like
obviously
the
Mike
first
didn't
person to
respond.
respond gets to do the podcast.
I was up late grinding tape.
Right.
That's all.
So
That's what it is.
I said yes. I
Yeah.
responded within 5 minutes. Mike waited like maybe 2.5 hours later. So I
This
got
is what
the
Field
nod.
does though. Like he'll only go on the pods of like the teams that are winning. 'Cause he only
Oh,
wants
is
to
that
say
how it
positive
works?
stuff. Won't go on the negative. Yeah, but you didn't go on the Panthers pod.
I were you invited? And I wasn't.
No,
No, no, it wasn't. No,
I wasn't invited either. but
Open
anyway.
invitation, though. If anyone wants to invite Mike to be on a Panthers podcast,
I
Mike,
will.
I
Let's
would love
go.
to be a part of that.
Chuba Hubbard.
Let's dive into Miami
DJ
Dolphins taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. This has like almost the entirety of both of these offenses. It feels like our lineup blocks.
Yeah.
With the Chiefs, you're starting Patrick Mahomes. You're starting Travis Kelce. You're starting Isaiah Pacheco.
Sure are. Yeah. No, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He didn't make the
CEH.
trip, so that's more Pacheco. than
The
this one.
question mark for me, and it has been forever, is Rashee Rice. Still not getting enough volume. I love what this kid is doing with Patrick Mahomes, but Field, how do you trust this guy when you know he's not seeing enough targets to make you feel comfortable that you can throw him into your starting lineup? Because 5 or 6 targets a game doesn't really do it for me.
Well, he played 61% of the snaps last week.
First
That's
time
his
leading that
highest-
room in routes.
Yep.
Yep.
First time leading the team in wide receiver routes run. highest snap percentage in a game this season.
Yep.
Maybe you're prescribing to the theory that the Chiefs are going to have to throw the ball a lot on Sunday because this game does profile as a potential track meet. So those would be the reasons why you have some positivity surrounding Rashee Rice. I've got him as wide receiver 35, though, in my rank. So not exactly a lineup lock for me, and you probably have a better, more reliable option.
Yeah, you know what he's turned into is like what we were talking about Wednesday, which is just those kind of like safe, like high floor, low ceiling guys that you're like, all right, I'll put him in my flex. I'll take my 11 points and go home. Right.
Call
I'm not
it
going
in,
to get,
yeah.
I'm not going to get 2 points, but I probably get 10, 12 points from him. 4+ catches in 4 straight and either 56 or more yards or a touchdown in all 4 games. So he's been solid, serviceable, but not a high ceiling. And that's enough for me to fire him up and put him in there. I have him 36. That's a flex.
A flex play for you in that situation. If you need somebody, I also like him a lot as well. I just want more volume. That's it. I love being able to see this kid. It feels like every week we're seeing more and more glimpses of him.
By the way, Miami, maybe, I don't know if Xavier Howard's going to return for this one. Did he travel? I think he did. I think we would have heard
To my
otherwise.
knowledge, he did.
Yeah, he
yes.
hasn't played with Jalen Ramsey yet. This could be the first game with both of those guys in the lineup. Interesting for that Dolphins D.
Finally getting a look of what this Dolphins defense imagined it would be coming
good
into
on
this
paper.
season. A lot of talent, but
They're very
haven't-
healthy
Yeah,
right
they
now.
are healthy. They haven't quite put it together defensively so far this season, but trending up in recent
Yeah,
weeks.
they are. I mean, I think some of that was just getting crushed by a couple good teams.
Yeah.
But otherwise, they haven't allowed more than 1 touchdown in all but 2 games, and it was at
Just 2
Hurts,
teams
at
crushing
Josh
them.
Allen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they've allowed 1 or fewer.
Very
pass
soft
touchdowns.
schedule, as we know, though. The teams that they
Fair
played
point.
besides
Fair point.
them
Yep.
were very, very bad. And they have not beat a winning team so far this season. Kind of a measuring stick game for both squads
100%.
on Sunday morning.
Yeah, let's talk about the Dolphins backfield. Raheem Mostert limited on Thursday at practice. We
Get
still
used to this, though, right?
it
what
kind of
this
feels
is.
that way.
Yeah. And by the way, this might be the last time we have to talk about this in such great depth because
Devon Achane.
it's the
Let's
last
go.
week until Devon Achane can return from IR. They go into their bye in week 10. Week 11, he's eligible to play. Indications are that he will play in week 11 for the Miami Dolphins. So Mostert inside my top 10. It's amazing the efficiency he has brought to the table so far this season. He has exactly 20 touches in 2 games this season. Every other game under 20, and yet he is still a top 5 scoring running back.
Yeah, he is. 2 duds in a row, though. I mean, we'll say duds. He scored a touchdown last
Right,
week, but
I
he's
know.
been under 11 fantasy points in 2 straight. Also, 0 targets last week, 3 or fewer in 4 straight. So I'd like to see a little more there because if not, he's going to have to keep up this high-end efficiency. And it's possible in this offense, but it has kind of dwindled a little bit. So he's going the wrong direction. I'm a little nervous, well, I mean, and even until Achane's back, might be more of an RB2, but I still have him ranked 7th this week in this matchup against the Chiefs. I do expect a lot of scoring here.
Let's take this one step further then for a second. With 4 teams on a bye this week and some very good running backs unavailable, there are people that are probably in a pinch this week. Would you trade away Raheem Mostert this week and try to do it right now, understanding that this might be the last week of premium value? And if you are, if the person that you're trading with is savvy, he or she will probably have a general sense of what we just discussed as well. So, what would you take in return for Raheem Mostert? Does it have to be like a lock it in every week starter, no matter what position it's at?
Yeah, my brain went right to a guy we referenced in a similar conversation earlier this week, which was someone like Deontay Johnson, right?
Okay.
Who has had a couple, but I mean, he played on Thursday. It's going to be hard to pull off now. But something like that, or maybe even into that T. Higgins conversation, like an underachieving guy that can be a top 15, top 20 receiver. But yeah, a lot of people, they're going to look and see that he's like 54th in fantasy points at receiver.
Right.
And Mostert is, what'd you say, 5th still?
Top 5, yeah.
Might be able to get something done there. So yeah, I'd be looking at that sort of player, a guy, maybe a Chris Olave, something along those lines.
I already did my Raheem Mostert trade.
You did? What'd you do?
It was Chris Olave.
Oh, no way. Yeah, really?
That was it. It was
One for one?
Yeah, I just did a 1-for-1. This was a couple weeks ago. After that huge game against
timed it
Denver,
well then, yeah.
I did not get the Carolina Panthers game. So I traded him away before that. But after this, it was understanding Devon Achane, thinking Jeff Wilson Jr. is going to come back again. And I'm not trying to project this, but just knowing he's a 31-year-old running back that has had a bunch of injuries in his career, it was I wanted to be able to capitalize when he had that moment. Unfortunately, Chris Olave has not quite paid off as well. But I'm with you guys. If you have a chance to move on, especially with how explosive we've seen Devon Achane be, it's not that I'm just going to take anything to get rid of Raheem Mostert, but if you can get good value here and you're good at the running back spot, I think now might be a good time for you to get out of the Raheem Mostert business.
It should be. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, remember also, Achane had an injury. He's an undersized back. This could be a 3-headed committee going forward.
2
They might be
injuries
happy
already
with
for
that.
Achane, right? He had the one in the
good call.
preseason
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
one
yeah.
during the regular season as well. This is going to be an interesting few weeks ahead on the trade front for this reason. Because of all the good teams that are about to be on a bye next week, plus another week with 6 teams on a bye, there are going to be teams who quite literally don't have the opportunity to field a full lineup because of all the players they have on a bye. And their bench is just not that deep beyond that. I saw a person in my league has 4 players on a bye this week, and the 5th player, I can't recall who the 5th bench player was, but maybe like a backup quarterback or a backup that would be rostered immediately by somebody else if they dropped that player. So you don't want to drop that person, but you also don't want to take an L and like have no one in your lineup. It's going to be a very fascinating week, to the point that this might be the time that even if your team is like kind of cruising, if you're in a spot where you do have like 4 key players on buys and you have no one to fill out your roster with, like maybe this is the time to examine trading away one of those players who is on a buy, even if it requires like a tiny bit of a discount coming back in return. Not the worst thing in the world to do right now.
Yeah.
Because as much as it sounds like if you're 8-0 and you're already cruising to the playoffs, like you might be able to just take the fat L this week. But I've noticed in some leagues where like I'm looking at people who are projected for like 75 points this week.
Yeah.
Imagine the projections next week when there's no Chiefs, no Eagles, no Rams, no Dolphins. It's going to be ridiculous next week finding your way through week 10.
By the way, speaking of upcoming bye weeks, there's another week with no buys before buys end.
Oh, yeah, I'm aware. Thanksgiving.
Right at the end of the season.
Yeah, there's always Thanksgiving, and then week 14 is the final week of buys. I believe the Raiders are on a bye in week 14.
Yeah. And is it like Arizona or something?
I think it's, Raiders and Arizona. I know that Washington. Okay.
Yeah.
Raiders and Washington week 14.
2. There's like
Washington
no teams on a bye, 2 more.
It's Washington and Arizona.
All right, so we were.
Oh, I'm sorry. Raiders are week 12 then. So the Raiders I know are also late.
Yep.
I think,
Don't love that. Don't love that, guys. Let's move ahead and talk about a guy that Fields you've been talking about a bunch. Pop Douglas. Are we at a spot where we're thinking about using this guy?
Another long shot opportunity this week.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so the 2 things that he has going for him, 3 things he has going for him. He played the most snaps amongst all Patriots wide receivers last week. That number should be the same this week, with Kendrick Bourne out for the year, Devontae Parker likely out as well. The Patriots are going to roll out a top 4 of Pop Douglas and Juju Smith-Schuster and Jalen Reagor and Tyquan Thornton. Would it totally stun me if Juju has a more prominent role than he's had so far this year, which isn't saying a whole lot, but they need him. Like they really need him this week to play, and they probably need him in the big picture as well because they spend a lot of money on him. But Douglas is going to play the most snaps. It's an outstanding matchup. The second most fantasy points allowed to opposing wide receivers by the Washington Commanders. And he's good.
Yeah, he looks good.
Did the Commanders defense get better after the trade deadline?
I would say that probably when you trade away your 2 best pass rushers, more often than not, you get worse.
You get worse, yeah.
So serious long shot potential here for Pop Douglas if he is still available. 80%. No, it's a good week. After a week that looks grim last week, even though the result was very good, the options feel good this week relative to where we have been in most weeks. So he's wide receiver 37 on my board. I don't hate the idea of adding him, though, even if you don't play him this week, because if he does emerge as the wide receiver 1 for this team, I believe in Mike's most recent rest of season schedule strength of schedule.
There it is. Yep.
The Patriots had a fairly favorable schedule compared to where they've been for the first half.
Yep. Put that on social the other day. I'm with you. And we talked about this earlier this week too. Mac Jones, if you're desperate, I like the over 1.5 passing touchdowns for him too. It's like plus 165 or something.
By the way,
good matchup here.
Also, from the same hometown. I think I mentioned that in the show earlier this week.
What's that?
Him and Pop Douglas.
Oh, really? No way.
Same hometown or same high school. Maybe both.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
A little chemistry.
there. Yeah. Let's talk about a couple other pass catchers. We'll close things out with our starts of the week. Managing some expectations here with these pass catchers for the Chargers.
Oh, man.
Good luck.
How about this for a tough matchup?
Yeah, this one is going to be against the Jets secondary. Jets secondary has been fantastic, obviously, Mike. How are you looking at this? Did they make your shadow report?
They sure did, yeah. The Jets are a lock. That's kind of the template starts
Stay
with
away.
them. I just leave them in the template. That's like reset every week. The Jets are just there automatically, except for last week because they had a bye. But anyway, or it was 2 weeks ago. They had a bye. Anyway, fewest yards, touchdowns, fantasy points to receivers.
The offense had a bye last week. The defense has special teams.
The offense always
is
is a bye for the Jets. Fewest yards, touchdowns, fantasy points to receivers, and only 3 receivers have cleared 11 fantasy points against the Jets this season. They were Stephon Diggs.
He's good.
CeeDee Lamb.
He's good.
And A.J. Brown.
They're all good.
Notice I did not mention any like secondary receivers. It's 3 superstars. And if you're going to say, I think one Charger can get there,
It's Keenan
you're
Allen.
probably not picking Josh Palmer. You're probably picking Keenan Allen,
Allen,
another superstar. So also Palmer primarily on the perimeter with Quentin Johnston. They're going to see a lot of the 2 best corners on this team, Sauce Gardner and, of course, DJ Reed. They don't play in the slot. That's where Keenan Allen is a lot. So Allen actually has a tough but not as tough matchup. I think you feel best about him for sure of this group. Otherwise, I would try to stay away.
So I'm not playing a Charger not named Keenan Allen amongst the wide receivers. I am monitoring Quentin Johnston, though, just for the rest of the season.
Oh, yeah, bench hold.
So played more snaps than Josh Palmer in the most recent game. Even though Palmer has been dealing with those that knee injury. Palmer missed practice yesterday as well, but I'd be surprised if he does not play on Monday night. But this is not about week 9. This is about like weeks 12 through 17, let's call it, because he's a first-round pick. Like, on paper, this guy should be good enough to be playing a consistent role in this Chargers offense. If he eventually leapfrogs Josh Palmer, this offense is definitely good enough to support 2 wide receivers week in and week out. So he would be, and it's tough to say this in a week in which there are 4 teams on a bye with 4 more coming next week that are so fantasy relevant. But if your benches are deep enough and he's available, definitely a stash for me right now.
Yeah, career highs across the board last week. Snaps, targets, catches, yards, 10 fantasy points on the board. So first good game, but you're right. Not in your starting lineups this week. Great bench hold. I'm with you.
Anybody else there from this offense? Do you like either of the tight ends here?
Nope. I would like Parham a little bit if Gerald Everett was out, but it seems like he's back.
He practiced in full.
Yeah, he's back to go. Parham, just a touchdown machine, and especially this year, his usage is off the chart. So the only way you consider streaming him, again, is if Everett's out.
He might be the biggest person in the NFL.
Yeah, is he 6'8"?
He looks like it.
Yeah.
I thought it was either him or the Steelers tight end.
Alejandro Villanueva?
Darnell Washington.
Washington.
Oh, yeah. He's
Alejandro
big dude,
Villanueva is huge, too. Is he still in the
confirmed. He's the
NFL?
biggest person? Wow, how about that? Villanueva is not.
No.
Darnell Washington is, and he played last night. Just not
He's
much.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
Connor Hayward getting some run there.
2
Yeah.
catches for
I did.
16 yards. Yeah.
Yeah,
that.
not fantasy productive, but a big part of the offense. Running a lot of routes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, closing out Fantasy Focus here. Talking starts of the week. Field Yates, I'm going to let you go first. Who was your start of the week here in week 9?
Christopher Dopp Olave. We have not yet confirmed whether his middle name is actually Dopp.
Or
We
that
think
his
it is
first name's
probably
Christopher.
not.
Yes.
Oh, is it not actually
I did
Christopher?
confirm this. His
Okay.
first name is not Christopher.
It's just Chris.
It's Christian.
Christian
Olave.
Okay. All right. Christian Olave
Some of us
with
do our
a
research.
to-be-determined middle name. Now, some of us are too
forget what it
busy
was.
watching the games last night to do our research, Mike. But yes, Chris Olave is my start of the week.
Josiah, that's it. Yes.
Josiah.
I texted that to you. I thought.
There are
Anyway, yeah.
reasons to not feel good about Chris
Thanks,
Olave.
Pulse.
If you've watched so far this season, you also know that there have been more incomplete passes when targeting Chris Olave than any other player this season.
Gross.
But we're starting to see some signs of life. That Saints offense kind of got back on track last week, playing in Indianapolis, got their mojo back a little bit. The targets have been ridiculous for Chris Olave, still over 500 receiving yards already this season. Give me a big Chris Olave Sunday. That one you just feel in your bones right now.
Yeah, and he's getting so much volume. His target share is the same as last year. And
Yeah,
we
it's
felt
the
great
same.
about last year. We
Right.
don't as this week.
Touchdown too on Sunday.
Yeah, by the way, we got fried a little. I saw someone was really angry that we didn't rank Derek Carr higher this week. I mean, the guy, his best weekly finish is 9th this year. So even if they're playing well, not to mention he comes off the field at the goal line, there's so
Yes.
many reasons not to stream Derek Carr. Even this week with so many problems like at the position.
Here's the best part is that I know it wasn't Derek Carr that fried you because he blocked
No,
you.
I'm blocked by him, so I can say whatever I want.
Is it like a sibling? Like they maybe fried you?
It might have been. Was it David Carr?
It might have been
you're saying?
David.
Well, his brother David works in the media, of course, played. And then his brother Darren Carr, I know, does have a social media account that is fairly active. So it could be that one of them fried
Maybe
you.
one of them. Maybe it was one of their burners. Maybe it was Derek's burner. Who
Oh,
knows?
wow. Okay.
Anyway,
could be.
they tagged all of us, to be clear. They were very
All of us
angry
got-
that we don't know what we're doing because
Saints
we did
fan?
not rank Derek Carr high. Probably, presumably. Yeah. Saints fan 10974.
So do you want to board bet that Saints
I was
fan?
just going to say, I say Derek Carr finishes outside the top 20 at the position.
Top 20? That's too
That's
far.
low. 15. Top 15.
Top 15. Okay.
Would you do that?
Yeah, sure. Board bet that guy.
Board bet
whoever it was.
America, whoever it is. that
Board
just the
betting
trolls
America.
on-
Board
Yes.
bet America.
Yeah, that's it.
He will not be a QB1. Yeah.
Mike,
Daniel,
which
what do
one
you-
of these
sorry.
guys do you want to go with for your
sorry,
start
I
of the
forgot.
week?
Yeah.
Oh, me? Oh, I will go with Mr. Dalton Kincaid because I wanted to use him last week and I couldn't because he played on Thursday.
Yeah.
If you'd done your research, you would have known
You
that.
would have known.
I did not. Yeah. I was just so excited. I just auto picked him. And then I was like picking topics for like, like Sports Center on Friday, like my start of the week. Kincaid picked him, sent the email in, just no clue, just totally spaced that he played on Thursday. But anyway, I'm sticking with him. The point here is it's real. I think it's legit what we saw from him last week. 7 targets, 5 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. Played 84% of the snaps. He is a full-time player. He now has at least 7 targets at 65 yards in 2 straight games. And how about this? The Bengals have allowed the most fantasy points to tight ends this season. Top 5 in pretty much every category. Last week they played George Kittle. Yes, the Bengals won. George Kittle had 149 yards on 9 catches in that game. So this is a terrific matchup here for Kincaid. I'm all in on him. I think he's a mid-range tight end one. And frankly, that might not change the rest of the season.
Wow.
I have no argument against that.
Yeah,
you looked at me like I was supposed to counter that, and I have no counter.
I'm just so used to you just being like,
the anger and vitriol coming back. Yeah.
This is a heated rivalry building that's similar to the Bengals against the Bills.
I am the new Tyler Fulgham.
Ooh.
TV star Tyler Fulgham.
Because I like him now because he's a good cook and he's going to move into the Northeast and I need to be friendly with him so he can cook me meals.
You're currying favors. Well
we're
done
about
by
a week
you.
away from him.
Triple
G
favors.
Oh, I see what you did there.
It's actually it is Triple G, but it's the Academy, so it's even better.
Yeah.
He spent 5 weeks hanging out with Guy Fieri. I've never been more jealous of anybody in my entire life.
No way. That's I can't wait to watch.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Daniel, who is your start of the week?
All right, so I'm going to take Trey McBride. I'm
Nice.
going to go a different direction here. I do want to say this.
Different direction?
Yeah, because I think that your matchup is a little bit better than my matchup.
Oh, okay.
Bengals give up a lot of fantasy points to tight ends.
matchup.
The Browns do not give up as many points to tight ends. In fact, there's only one guy that has over 10 fantasy points against them, and that is Mark Andrews. So I want to say that all of that up front. I very much understand that. But Trey McBride in this offense with Clayton Tune under center, having 14 targets last week, and he has seen this uptick with Zach Ertz being out. 11 targets 2 weeks before that. 14 targets last week. I am all in on him being a guy that when you need someone at the tight end position, even though I don't love the matchup, he's getting the volume that you could use here this week.
By the way, terrible matchup last week, too. Had 14 targets, had a big fantasy day.
Against Baltimore. You're right. Against Baltimore.
I'm with you. A lot of targets coming his way.
Thank you, Mike Clay, for allowing me to pick him as my long shot last week. I wanted to end the show on a high note.
Yeah,
Great. You're welcome, man. I'm here to help.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So good.
At the end of the day, we're friends. And I'm a supportive colleague.
Of the picks that I mentioned as potential long shot picks throughout the show, I mentioned Khalil Shakir, Pop Douglas, somebody else. Is there anybody that you were like,
No, I think they're great long
Probably
shots.
Khalil
Honestly.
Shakir.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. This KI scoring game. Yeah.
Do me a quick favor. Go check out the score report this week. Field Yates stopped by for a little bit of fun. It was very cool here on the ESPN NFL YouTube channel. We love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Boom.
That was a fun show.
So you did or did not like those picks? Khalil Shakir?
I liked them. I think Shakir sounds good. I'm
It was
in on
Khalil
Douglas.
Shakir,
I drafted
Pop
him on
Douglas,
Dynasty.
and
I don't know who else you said. There's another one.
Which one is highest in your rankings? We should go with the opposite of that one, Field.
I think it's Khalil Shakir.
So rude.